Hello, this is Kimori. Today I brought you a video guide on how to separate your artwork for animation in Live 2D from an artist and a rigger as well, me. I'll try to break it down as simply as I can. I'll use some examples from my previous models. They should cover most of the common part separation. Let's first take a look into what possibilities Live 2D gives us in a simple language so you can figure out how to separate even uncommon things. Something can be left as a group of objects, but to achieve a smoother and more 3D animation, you want to split things that might move differently. So here is a list of things that you can do with every object. Deform and bend. You can as well do it with a group of objects, but this might limit your capabilities. Rotate. Move around and rescale. Glue. Make a clipping mask of something else or become a clipping mask for something else. Adjust transparency. Change layer blending options. Thus, for anything that we want to change with one of these actions, we need a separate part. Now we can break down the common pieces most models would have. The most cut part is usually the face, because it needs a wide range of manipulations to be done. On the face, you will usually need to split the face shape itself, while every scratch, mole, mark, bruise go to their own layer, so we don't need to depend on them when we mold the face with the rotation. Next up, if you want the fancy effect of the jawline to disappear, we need the face line to be on a separate layer, so we can connect it to a clipping mask that will make it transparent. Next is the face shape duplicate layer, but color it in the color of the neck, so when the face lifts, we can see the area that connects the face to the neck and no visible seam ruins the 3D effect. Also split ears like this. So if you place it above the face, it won't have any seams, and during head rotation this effect can be achieved. As for the nose, usually one layer is enough, as long as you don't draw heavy details to the nose. Separate only the nose itself, without skin surrounding it or any sort of blurry, transparent pieces. So when the movement occurs, there is no visible seams or things detaching one from another. The mouth is a tricky one. If the lips you have are in a simple anime style, then just separate it like this. A layer of lip skin combined with lip line for each of the two lips. A layer of inner mouth. 2 layers for teeth rows if you have any. And a layer for the tongue. If lips you have include some more depth, separate it too. Chin area, shadow, lip glitters, and highlights. Even though the mouth inside is not visible all the time, it will look better if the rigger will be able to move the tongue and teeth inside of the mouth separately as your model moves its head. If you want the tongue to come out at some point, make sure you draw it with the tip, thus the rigger can manipulate it to appear. Eyes are commonly split into eye whites and make it bigger than the actual visible area. Pupil, upper lash, lower lash, separate standing out lashes, lower eyelid, upper eyelid. If you want fancy effects and eye physics, then separate more details inside of the pupil. When you make eye slits, it's glow on a separate layer. Commonly for the eye physics, highlights and pupils are split to be deformed and moved around like that. Next up, 2 brows. Just each brow on a separate layer. Desirably make the eyebrows mirrored, so only one has to be animated. Riggers don't like unnecessary unreflected items because it brings extra work that won't make a final difference. As for the hair, for simple movement you will need at least 5 layers for the hair of any length. Back of the head, 2 sides of the head, and a couple of front bends, but I don't recommend doing that. I never end up having less than 10 layers, because remember, to move things separately, you need everything well separated. Thus, to make the head rotation smooth, 3D, and achieve believable hair physics, I usually split a lot of hair strands. For example, for Dahlia, I prepared around 30 pieces of hair. Side hair parts gave an ability to make her head rotation look more 3D. while lots of hair strands allow to create this fluffy, jumpy detail halo physics. Now, this was the hard part. Body cutting is a little bit simpler. Cut each leg into 3 main pieces: foot, shin leg half, and thigh leg half. You might also want to separate some accessories, anything that you'd want to swing and move on its own, like ties, pendants, and so on. For Dahlia, those were boot ties and the vine, because I wanted it to have a little bit of physics too. If your character has shadows, like shadow from the skirt, split it as well. Make sure the shadow isn't limited to the leg shapes only, so when it moves, no holes reveal and the shadow stays consistent. I usually just do one layer for both legs and copy it for both sides. Arms are basically split into palm, elbow area, and shoulder area. Sometimes armpit area is also required. Any clothing like sleeves needs to be separate. If you want to make fingers to move as well, make sure to split them like this, so the animator can manipulate each finger separately. Shadows separate. There is another way of splitting arms, by the way, by using ball joints. It is usually required for a wider angle of movement. So if it's not the case for your model, don't bother, just split everything you usually do. Here is a quick insight on the ball joint method. Cut the arm into 3 sections evenly. Make sure cut lines don't have a gradient, or you won't be able to make ball joints blend. Now on 3 separate layers, add 3 ball joints for every intersection, perfectly round, so when the rigger rotates it, it's seamless. Last but not least is body. In general, we need 4 major parts here: upper torso, hip area, neck, and yes, booba. Depending on how boobs are drawn, they might need to be split into 2 separate groups or just one. Make sure that all of the cut parts have big area overlapping each other. For example, when booba jump, we can see what's underneath, ribs, and not just a hole of nothing. Let me give neck additional attention since it's a tricky one. First, make neck long, like really long, ideally up to the level of ears. That's where neck joins with head for real 3D people. Then the neck needs a shadow separated from the neck itself and wider than the neck, because the shadow will be moving after the head and we don't want any holes to appear. Finally, make sure that the shadow color matches the color of that underneath face layer. If the shadow is in multiply, then just make sure the color in multiply matches. If the neck is in solid, normal color blending, then you will need a line of neck above it, so it won't get covered by the shadow. Also, speaking of split line arts, make sure all of your line arts are merged with the objects they outline. There are only few occasions when we need line art separate, such as face line art. As for the clothing, everything that swings, flaps, is layered, shines, or has a moving pattern goes separately. Most of the clothes should have back sides as well. Skirts, cardigans, and sleeve backs are appreciated too. Golden tracery separately. Then add another layer of light. The animator will clip it and make it shine. Shadows separate. Ruffles, collars, ties, chains, thorns, bells, bows separately. Cardigans, layered coats separately. Don't be lazy and split it for the animation to be really good. Also, split hard objects from soft objects. Split patterns shines from the objects they are supposed to be clipped to. And split left from the right. Well, except the back parts. And that basically is it. Now the last thing is ears. Lots of models have ears. Classical fox and cat ears, but commonly need 3 parts: ear back, ear front, kloof. And it's best to make sure there is no seam between the base of the ear and hair, or the overlapping area needs to be so big it will never show the end of it when head looks down. Tail? 1 layer is fine, but better straight than in funky shapes. If it has accessories or visible sticking off parts, then proceed to split it. Alright, That was it. I hope it will help you to split things nicely and make riggers for your artworks happy. See you next time with another Life Today guide. Bye!